Are you preparing for the PMP exam or trying to better manage your project stakeholders? Then you need to understand one of the most effective tools in stakeholder analysis, the Stakeholder Influence and Interest Matrix, also known as the Power Interest Grid. In this video, we'll break down what the matrix is, how it works, and how you can use it to plan the right engagement strategies for different stakeholders. Stick around to the end for practical PMP exam tips and key takeaways that can help you succeed on exam day. What is the Stakeholder Influence Matrix? The Stakeholder Influence Matrix is a tool used to analyze and categorize your stakeholders based on two dimensions, power and interest. Power refers to the stakeholder's ability to influence decisions, allocate resources, or affect the project's direction. Interest refers to how much the stakeholder cares about the project's outcomes or wants to be involved. By mapping stakeholders along these two dimensions, you can classify them into 4 quadrants, each with a recommended engagement strategy. High power, high interest, manage closely. High power, low interest, keep satisfied. Low power, high interest, keep informed. Low power, low interest, monitor with minimal effort. Let's go through each one and the action you need to take for each group. Let's start with the most critical group, stakeholders, who have both high power and high interest must be managed closely for your project's success. These are your top priority stakeholders. Think of your sponsor, key decision makers, or business owners who are deeply invested and have the authority to drive or halt your project. To manage them effectively, keep them actively involved in key decisions and progress updates. Communicate frequently and in a personalized manner. Provide visibility into performance, risks, and outcomes. Show them their input is valued, their support is essential. For example, a project sponsor who approves funding and checks in regularly to see how things are progressing. Keeping them engaged is non-negotiable. Now we move to stakeholders who have high power but low interest. These individuals must be kept satisfied without overwhelming them. They may not want the day-to-day details, but they do care if something affects their domain. They can also cause serious issues if they feel blindsided. To keep them satisfied, share concise, high-level updates on a regular schedule. Don't overwhelm them with minor details. Focus on strategic information. Be proactive if their area is impacted. Maintain a positive, professional relationship. For example, a senior executive from another department whose team is lending resources. You don't want to drag them into the weeds, but they do need to be kept in the loop. Next, we have stakeholders who have low power but high interest, and they must be kept informed so they stay engaged and supportive. This often includes end users, testers, or support roles, people who will work with the project outcome directly and care about how things unfold, even if they don't call the shots. To keep them informed, send regular updates through channels they actually use, newsletters, stand-ups, or group chats. Involve them in reviews, demos, or feedback sessions. Make them feel valued. Their insights can improve quality and adoption. For example, a frontline team that will be using a new tool your project is delivering. They can help identify usability issues early on. Finally, there are stakeholders with low power and low interest. These should be monitored with minimal effort. They have a weak connection to the project and don't expect much involvement, but their role or interest level could shift, so don't completely ignore them. To monitor them effectively, log them in your stakeholder register. Provide occasional updates if needed. Watch for changes in their power or interest that may move them into a more active quadrant. For example, a compliance team that isn't currently involved but may be consulted during a future phase of the project. So when and how do you use the matrix? You'll typically create this matrix during the Identify Stakeholders process, which happens early in the project. But it's not a one-and-done exercise. Stakeholders' positions on the matrix may shift as the project progresses. That's why it's important to reassess and update the matrix periodically, especially before key milestones or major changes. The Stakeholder Influence Matrix also ties into your stakeholder engagement plan, helping you determine who gets what kind of communication and how often. If you're taking the PMP exam, here's what to remember. Understand the characteristics of each quadrant and what action is expected. For scenario-based questions, use the matrix to determine the most appropriate response. For example, high-power, low-interest stakeholders should be kept satisfied with executive summaries. Low-power, high-interest stakeholders should be involved in feedback but not decision-making. Look for action verbs in answer choices. PMI tends to favor keywords like engage, consult, evaluate, and collaborate. Be wary of answers that jump to escalation or take a passive stance. PMI favors proactive and collaborative leadership styles. To sum it up, the Stakeholder Influence Matrix helps you focus your attention where it matters most. The right stakeholder strategy can improve communication, minimize surprises, and keep your project on track. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more project management learning. Also, check out pmaspirant.com for more project management and PMP exam resources. Let us know in the comments which stakeholder type is the most challenging for you to manage and what's your approach. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.